Welcome to another entry of the Caregiver Diaries with G and Mac. I am G.
And I'm Mac.
Well, hello Mac. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How about you?
I'm okay. I'm okay today.
It's been a while.
I know, probably a couple 2 weeks, two or
Yep.
3 weeks. The last time you had just gotten back
Yes.
and you were resetting with your parents. Well, I was getting ready to embark on an adventure with my
With
mother.
your parent. Mm-hmm.
So I drove she and the dog, and we went to Nashville,
All right.
and it actually was okay.
Good.
We didn't have to stop. We stopped 2 times going down and 3 times coming back. But the dog, we did okay.
Good.
But my mother stayed with my niece, and I stayed at a hotel, just giving me a break or whatever. My sister was there. Anyway, make a long story short, nobody knows until they're in it
Mm-hmm.
really what caregiving for my mom is
Entails.
like.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Why she this? Why she do this? Why she do that? She just don't. She not the same. No, she not the same grandmama. I actually call her my new mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of my old mom there, but I call her my new mom because she's just different. I don't mean that in a negative way.
But it changed her.
Right.
It
right,
changed her
right,
way of thinking.
Right.
For sure, it changed her language.
Oh yeah, with that aphasia.
Mm-hmm.
So we did okay. We got back because I was like, I don't guess I'm gonna have to leave anybody on the side of the road.
All right.
But I managed to bring everybody home. So it actually was a good trip because my great niece was baptized.
Nice.
And of course, my niece, after the baptism, we had a lovely meal and everything just turned out nice. I was trying to find, my mother was asked, you mentioned the aphasia. My mother asked for something
Mm-hmm.
and I had to write it down because this was
It was one for the book.
yes, I'm trying to see if I can find it. And maybe I'll find it before we I don't know what I did with it, Mac, but I'm gonna have to find it because it was, normally I can figure out what
Yeah.
she's talking about, but sometimes I just can't figure out. And this was one of the. Oh yeah, this is what she said. She wanted some fire sausage.
Fire sausage?
Fire sausage, but I finally figured out she was talking about applesauce. So I don't know. Normally I can kind of see a correlation or something like that, but
Yeah.
I couldn't see a correlation this time. But we figured it out. But anyway,
Mm.
I could go on and on and on to the break of dawn. Oh, anyway.
Okay, DJ.
I know. Ones and twos. But today we just want to talk about some tips for caregiving, and some of these tips is easier said than done. Of course.
Definitely.
Wait a minute, you had a story you told me before we get going about why you're wearing the hat today.
Oh, I am wearing a hat because my beautician, shout out to Tisha, um, is now a caregiver for her mom. Her schedule is 1 day a week of doing hair versus 5 days a week doing hair. So, hence the hat.
But it's a cute hat.
Well, thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
But before we get to our tips for caregiver,
Okay.
let me just share that I'm still hitting the reset button in my life
Still,
with my
it's been
parents.
2 weeks.
I found Oreo cookies hidden in the pantry, still finding Pepsi cans. Um, they'll call me. I'm like, "Are you ready for lunch?" And they're like, "Yeah, I need a red cream soda," because I introduced them to the red cream soda from White Castle. We have a city here where we have a White Castle, and White Castle has a new soda, red cream.
Okay.
But I give them the red cream as a treat, not as a form of to contribute to their addiction.
Right.
And now it's I need a red cream soda every other day, and it's like I kind of created a monster.
Right.
So now we have a new puppy, and the older dog in the house is 10, and so everyone went to the vet. So the dog is on eye drops, my father is on eye drops, my mother is on eye drops, and the dog that's 10 takes the eye drops way better than my parents do.
I hear you. I hear you.
And it's so funny because I give the dog an eye drop, she gives me one eye and then gives me the other. I give my parents an eye drop and they're like, the mouth is open. I'm like, close your mouth. Let me
Right,
put your eye drop in.
right, right.
And it's a lot. So, in addition to being a caregiver to my parents, I'm a caregiver to my fur babies as well that I forgot to mention.
Yeah, but I'm like, it gets into these tips because I got to make sure my mom has her medicine. I have them all spread out.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I have a couple things I have to take, but if the dog has stuff he has to take
Yes.
because his knee is bothering him, so he takes pain medication, and he had an ear infection, but luckily that's cleared up. But if he keeps doing that, give him some Benadryl or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother, I think, she reminds me more about giving the dog his medicine than if she's saying, Gina, did you take your medicine? Because sometimes I'm like, did I take my medicine? So I was avoiding, and I don't know why, but I was avoiding I only take 2 pills a day and a vitamin D, so 3. I was avoiding putting them in one of them little daggone containers.
Yeah.
I did not want to do a container. I got this humongous container from my mom, and I'm like, I am not using I do not need a container. So of course then I'm like, did I take my medicine? I don't know if I did or not. So now I have one of them little
Sunday,
daggone
Monday,
containers.
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Whatever,
Thursday, Friday,
whatever.
Saturday.
I'm just like, Gina. But I had to end up having to set a reminder. My mother takes several medications, but the life-threatening one is the warfarin. Because she went off her warfarin to get a tooth pulled some years ago. That's when she had her stroke. So, warfarin is really serious. So I put the medicine in there, but for some reason this past week, I forgot like 2 times for her night medicines. And I'm like, Gene, I never do that. So now I set an alarm, 10 o'clock. So, it actually makes me feel like, I don't know the word for it, because I always try to be the superwoman. I got it, I'm on top of it.
Yeah.
So having to set the alarm and then using that thing, that's almost like giving in to
a little crutch.
Yeah. Yeah. But I had to realize that's what
those
you
are
gotta do.
Tools.
I know. So I'm gonna try and look at it that way, but still I'm just like, come on, you're slipping. So luckily, everything went okay with my mom with the medicine, and I'm just coming to the conclusion I got to do that. And the dog, I be daggone if I'm going to put the dog not going to have one, okay? I refuse that. So anyway, and then she will remind me to make sure I get the dog his medicine. So anyway, but okay, we digressed.
But, I do want to say hitting that reset button has also forced me to be in a position where, even though my parents don't have aphasia or problems communicating, my father's biggest issue is transitioning to being dependent.
Yeah.
And for example, we had a doctor's appointment just last week, and he never wants help out of the car. He's a chivalrous individual, likes to provide that chivalry to my mother, who's on a walker. And when he got out of the car, he did like this. And I said, what does this mean? He says, I'm dizzy. So I had to help him get up out of the car and walk. But he won't ask for help. And it's really weird. I have to pick up on cues.
Well, at least he gives you cue, because one time he fell over in them bushes.
Yeah.
Right?
But when I got home, I checked his blood pressure. His blood pressure was low.
Okay.
So that let me know to hold his blood pressure pill. So that's what I've been doing. We see the cardiologist Wednesday, but I've been holding his medication because his blood pressure's been so low. But just different cues that you pick up on as you caregive. He's just a man that, again, he ambulates on a cane, but if it's 3 women walking in the door, he takes that cane and he opens the door for the women.
That's just who he is. Yeah.
So I have to pick up on different cues that he gives off.
Okay, so you care for both of your parents, and I just care for my mom, but I know this past month, we probably had 5 or 6 doctor's visits. maybe 5, to this doctor, to that doctor, to this doctor, to that. One of them I ended up canceling and rescheduled because it's like, wait a minute, but between your two parents,
And physical therapy
right,
once a week.
yeah, you do a lot.
Oh yeah, we see a lot.
Yeah. So caregiving, we just want to offer some tips today, and I just went online and looked some up, and then Mac and I were talking about them. But the number one thing is caring for yourself.
Absolutely.
You have to care for yourself because, of course, if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of your loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's easier said than done in terms, because sometimes, depending on your situation, you might not be able to get out the house to be active in doing something. So sometimes you might just have to find something around the house, walk around the house, or do some weights, or do something that's going to move your body and keep you active, keep you kind of moving, because it's easy to just sit. It really is, especially depending on what your situation is. It's easy to just sit. My mom can't be left alone. She has to have somebody with her 24/7. Mm-hmm. So in order for me to get out the house, I have to have somebody who can come. So it's hard, and I could do more than what I do, but am fortunate enough to get out to do, play racquetball 2 or 3 times a week, which is good. But you have to care for yourself, try and be active, ask for help. Don't go it alone. And what Mac and I talk about all the time, that help might not be family. Because for me, now my daughter chips in, but I don't want her to be responsible for my mom.
Right.
That's not her mom, but she does help out. But the people who I have are just people who I know. And I have a couple caregivers that I do pay, that I've had to learn how to trust someone else, to care for my mother.
But we've learned that you
Right.
have to create your
Right.
village.
Yeah.
You have to,
Right.
just to give you
Right.
that extra support system, that peace of mind, a
And
sounding
that might be a
board.
neighbor.
Yes.
Even if it's just for 30 minutes, it might be a neighbor. But you have to ask for help, and I've learned how to have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always want to do it, on my own. But and there are a lot of resources out there. But we'll get to that too. But just ask for help, and remember, help doesn't have to be family. And then if things get overwhelming, ask for professional help.
It's okay.
It's okay to ask. It's okay to do that. Ask for professional help.
Mm-hmm.
They have online. I think BetterHelp is one of them. You can do online.
There's some apps out there
Yeah,
that will help you
right,
and guide
right,
you through
right.
this.
And then there's some Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of online groups that you can reach out to. Hospitals have a lot of different
support
system too. So AARP does. So you just have to
research
have to really
and do the
seek
work.
out help.
Mm-hmm.
There's a website from the National Institute of Aging, and they have a wealth of knowledge on there about caregiving.
Mm-hmm.
There's a caregiver handbook that has a lot of information too, but they have caregiver tips, and they have a lot of resources too. So it's the National Institute of Aging, and you can just put in caregiving, and there's a lot of knowledge. Be gentle with yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like I had to, with my mom's medicine, I was really beating up on myself. I'm like, Gina, get it together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, set that timer.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I look at a mistake as a weakness on my part. And I have to really not do that.
But it's okay to make mistakes as long as they're not costing anyone their life.
But the thing is, it could. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you make a mistake, it's not like you're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
So then if you make a mistake and then you think about what could have happened, so you can't beat up on yourself.
No.
And then I had to check why was this happening all of a sudden? Mm-hmm. And I know for me, I'm trying to get my house ready to put on the market. So I'm doing a lot of stuff around here. Mm-hmm. So I've got some added stress. a lot of added stress. So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably, I had to sit up and kind of say, well, what's going on, Gina? Why are you doing
Mm-hmm.
this? So that's it, because I got a
Mm-hmm.
lot of other stuff going on that's a major impact
Mm-hmm.
on me in terms of trying to get the house. Been in this house for 30 years, but it's time to move on. I'm tired of home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to pick up the phone and say, can you come fix this?
Mm-hmm.
So, but don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, give yourself
Um,
grace.
yeah, and own your feelings. If sometimes I get frustrated as heck with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I get frustrated, and that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you get frustrated, you're frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
If you're unhappy, you're unhappy.
But don't
If
hold it in.
Yeah, if you're sad, you're sad.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm frustrated because every move I make has to be orchestrated. More than anything, I'm not a homebody kind of person.
Yeah.
But I have to be a homebody for the most part. Yeah, I can pay somebody to come in with my mom and that kind of stuff. But that is the most. I don't mind caring for my mother. And what I have to do, because Lord knows we done had some bouts of diarrhea the last couple of weeks. That is no problem with me. But my main problem that frustrates me is just not being able to get up and go if I need to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I own that. That's just what it is. But I had to be kind to myself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to, because sometimes we'll say, but somebody's situation is worse than mine, but my situation is my situation.
Yeah.
It may not be as bad as somebody else's situation, but it's my
But
situation.
it's your situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Another tip, they said you have to eat well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if eating well means I ate that can of cashews over a 2-day period. I don't know if that's I don't know if that means eating well or not, Mac, but they sure work good because you got to keep yourself happy too. You got to keep
And
yourself
that
happy.
ends you in a happy place.
With boy, those cats, yeah, but now I'm like, okay. You're trying to cut back the carbs, but I just love cashews.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, I had, pecans are better for you. I'll eat almonds too, but I had cashews and pecans, and I mixed them all up, and I was picking all those cashews out. So eat well, but you have to eat healthy also.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have to eat healthy, because if you don't take care of yourself, and then you got to get plenty of sleep if you can.
Yes.
If you can.
Yes.
And that's easier said than done. And I'm a prime example. Okay, my mom, I had to get her toothbrush ready, her mouthwash ready. We have a little nightly routine and stuff like that. But sometimes she's not ready to go to bed when I'm ready to go to bed. So I'm not gonna force my mom is 91, and I'm not gonna force my mom to go to bed. I'm just not gonna do that. So sometimes I'm staying up a little later than I should. Probably what'll happen, I might sit up and watch TV with her. I might kind of nod out. Mind you, she gets bothered if I fall asleep. But if she falls asleep, it's no big deal. But with me, she's constantly calling me, Gina, Gina, Gina. I'm like, okay. So then what'll happen? I'll get up, I'll get her ready, and she has a ritual. She got to get this ready. She's got to do this. So we get all the night things. So then I finally get her in bed. Then I'm like this, wide awake.
Yeah.
So then next thing you know, it's 1 or 2 o'clock. Because my daughter would text, she'll say, Mommy, why are you sending me stuff at 2 o'clock in the morning? You need to be asleep. So a lot of this stuff is easier said than done, but I can still. And then another thing I was realizing, so when she finally goes to sleep, because sometimes that's when I take my shower, do my nightly stuff, but that's the time that it's quiet. That's the time where she sleep. I know she's not going to be calling for the most part. She don't wake up too much during the night. So it's like, ooh, I'm awake and the house is quiet.
Yeah.
I don't have to wait on anybody. I don't have to.
That's your time.
Yeah, but that time ends up being a little bit too late. So
Yeah.
luckily I had a kind of job that's not it's a flexible job where I don't have to be someplace all the time early in the morning and all of that. But you still have to, you got to get your sleep, and then you have to have some time to relax too.
You do. And what I've learned in my caregiving situation is I have to learn to separate my parents like children.
Right.
So what works for
mean?
one doesn't necessarily work for the other.
Okay, so you got two.
I may be giving Miralax which helps with bowels, and one can't have a regular Pepsi because their blood sugar may be high at the
Right,
time.
right,
But why are you getting him a Pepsi and I don't get one?
right,
Or why does this person get this extra eucerin cream? You giving it, and it's like,
right,
no, I'm not giving anybody anything special. This was
right,
given by the doctor,
right,
prescription.
right,
So I had to learn how to separate and not really expose what's going on in this pod versus this pod, because it's a challenge
right,
between the two.
right,
And it's also a challenge for my attention. I've learned that because my mother and I watched a show called Big Brother, and it's in its 26th season.
mm-hmm.
Now, we've been watching it for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell my mother, Mom, Big Brother comes on tonight. Well, my dad, well, here we go. Now she's going to hog the TV. Nobody told me
There's
about...
only one TV in the house, right?
Yeah.
Right.
In their bedroom.
Yeah, but I'm still, yeah.
So nobody tells me about a show. For me, I said, Dad, we've been watching this show for 25 years. Well, I like to watch a show. So things like that.
Right.
You know,
right.
and it's more of for my time.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
attention for my time.
Yeah, I got
You know, and
just
that's
like
when we talked about role reversal on
Right.
one episode
right.
of our entry.
It definitely is.
That definitely was,
It definitely is.
yeah, an example of that.
My niece, when we were in Nashville, she said, "Grandmama just kind of seemed like a toddler." I'm like, "Oh, really?
Right.
Duh.
Right.
Tell me about it." I live it all the time, but it is what it is. And one thing I say, I'm gonna take care of my mom at home.
That's right.
As long as I can.
That's right.
As long as I can take care of it at home, because if not, if she was someplace, I'd be there.
You'd be weary, yeah.
Yeah, and because nobody gonna take care of it
Like you.
and I believe that. And some people say other people can take. Nobody gonna take care of my mama like I do.
That's right.
My brother, my sister, nobody's gonna take care of my mother like me. So that's another reason. So with caregiving, you gotta take you might be in that situation too. So you gotta take care of you, because probably nobody's gonna do it better than you can do it.
That's
So you
right.
really have to and that kind of gets into this last tip, is keeping up with your own health. Keeping up with your own health.
Mm-hmm.
That means you have to get to the doctor if you need to.
That's right.
Not to ignore
Warning signs.
your warning signs. You
Mm-hmm.
have to, because in that super woman or superman role, of course nobody's going to take care of them, your parent or your loved one, whichever, like you, but you really won't be able to take care of them if you
you're
get
dying.
sick.
That's right.
Or get
So
sick.
to prevent that, just
right.
like a car, you
Right.
have to
really
do
have
your
to
maintenance.
take care of yourself.
Mhm.
So one thing we had talked about I'm talking about in taking care of yourself. I take care of myself as best I can. I think I do, so I can take care of my mom. But we were talking about resources, and you brought up that lifeline.
Yes.
Now my mom is never home by herself.
Mm-hmm.
However, we still have it, because if something happens to me while we're here, with her having aphasia, she's not going to be able to pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And probably sometimes she can use sometimes I don't know if it's selective. Like if I'm out and about and gone too long, why do I get a call? When you coming home? When you coming home? But then next thing I know, she can't dial. She can't. Oh, could you call so and so? Wait a minute, you called me the other day, but now you can't call. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then another thing she'll do sometimes, I'm getting off again, but I'm like, wait a minute. She just put her own pants on and put her shoes on. But why do I do that
Every day.
all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But anyway, that's okay. So, so you have to have, it's good to have one of those kind of services in case.
It is.
Yeah, because something happens. Like I said, with me, if something happens, my mom all she'd have to do is press
that button.
Yeah,
But we would like to provide you with that phone number, because it's a 1-800 number that you can use to get set up with Lifeline. And if your person that you're taking care of has Medicare, then it's pretty much free on Medicare. And that number to Lifeline is 1-855-4 428-6530. Again, that number is 1-855-428-6530.
And that's something that I'm gonna check into because we don't have Lifeline. We have another one, and we just flat out pay for it.
Oh,
So I need to check into that.
yeah.
Maybe there might be a one less bill we have to pay.
hmm
Yeah.
And with open enrollment coming up, that'll be starting, I guess, in the next couple of months.
Usually October or something.
Yeah, you may want to check into Lifeline and see what programs come for free with the Lifeline support. Because under United Healthcare, my parents get Lifeline for free.
Okay.
And then they have it where if they're anywhere, if they're at the grocery store, they can press it and the
Right.
Bluetooth will pick up
Right.
where they are, their location.
Is your dad back driving?
No.
Okay.
Praise the Lord.
Okay. Good. All right.
Mhm.
So he's not going to be.
He got his little refund check and put it in the bank.
For
And
the
my
car.
brother keeps saying, I wonder what kind of car he's going to get. And I keep saying, no.
Right.
No.
Right. In case you didn't see one of the previous episodes, her dad was in a car accident.
Yes. So
Yes,
really,
sir.
I want to get him a golf cart. Everyone in the neighborhood has a golf cart.
Okay.
And that would be sufficient. Just go into the local grocery store, except for in the winter.
Well, he'd have to cross the street and stuff, wouldn't
Just one
he? Okay.
and go straight up. But we'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all today. We keep saying that. I don't know what I was gonna say.
That we're going to have special guests.
Yeah,
We are.
We're working on one now for nursing homes. So we're just trying to get our time straight and all of that, so
Yeah.
we'll be able to do that.
Once we get the kinks out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But stay tuned.
Okay.
And thanks for supporting us again. It costs nothing to support us.
Yeah.
So please like, share, and subscribe.
And remember, Mac, who cares?
We
We
care.
care. See you later.